Hello, friends. Today, I'll tell you a story that happened when I was just 12 years old. It happened late one evening, and to this day, I can't forget the feelings of fear and terror. My friends, Sam, Katya, and Dima, and I found a way online to summon a cursing gnome. Honestly, we didn't believe it would work, but curiosity got the better of us. So, according to the instructions, to summon the cursing gnome, you need to take a long rope and tie it around several trees. This rope would serve as a path for the gnome to walk on. At one end of the path, you had to place a mirror. This would be his entrance. And then at the other end, put some cookies or candies. This would be his exit. It seemed simple enough, but there was a warning. If you start the ritual, hold hands until the end and don't let go until the gnome eats the candy. My friends and I decided to give it a try. Near our neighborhood, there was a forest and, as luck would have it, an old cemetery nearby. That added to the creepiness. We grabbed our flashlights and headed out. Dima and I started wrapping the rope around the trees while Sem almost ate all the candy. Thankfully, Katya stopped him just in time. The darkness thickened and the forest felt alive. Every shadow seemed to be watching us. While we prepared the path, strange noises came from the forest. It sounded like rustling branches or whispers. I kept turning around, feeling like someone was watching us, but I saw no one. Dima joked that it was the gnome already inspecting our work. Sem, who was usually the bravest of us, suddenly became quiet and kept glancing around. "I don't like this," he muttered. But none of us wanted to show we were scared. Once everything was ready, we stood in a circle, held hands, and began chanting the summoning words. "Cursing gnome, come. Cursing gnome, come. Cursing gnome, come." We froze, waiting for something extraordinary to happen. But after 2 minutes, nothing. We started laughing at ourselves for believing in such nonsense. Deciding it didn't work, we let go of each other's hands and began packing up to head home. Suddenly, a loud clap of thunder, and then lightning struck the mirror. Silence. Only the sound of our racing hearts filled the air. And then we heard an old, grumbling voice. "What the hell'd you summon me for, you stinking pests?" In front of us stood a small gnome, angry, with glowing eyes, cursing nonstop. He walked slowly along the rope, mumbling, "You might as well have wrapped the entire damn forest with this stupid rope." At first, we froze, unable to believe our eyes. The gnome looked like a living toy, small, in ragged clothes, with a long gray beard. But his voice and manner of speaking were terrifying. We started laughing, but everything changed in an instant. The gnome noticed we had broken the rule. We weren't holding hands. His face twisted with rage, and he shouted, "Run, you brats!" From his tiny pants, he pulled out a knife, smeared with blood, jumped off the rope, and yelled, "Finally, I'm out of this damn prison." Panicking, we bolted in different directions. When I reached the road, I saw Dima and Katya, but Sam wasn't there. We assumed he had run home and went our separate ways. The next morning, a knock on the door woke me up. It was Sam's mom, crying and saying he was missing. I stayed silent, too scared to say anything. I met up with Dima and Katya, and we decided to return to the forest to look for Sam. We searched the forest thoroughly but couldn't find him. Then, on a tree branch, we saw the gnome. His face was covered in blood. I shouted, "Where's our friend?" The gnome smirked and replied, "You'll see him soon enough." Then he vanished. He was returned home, but that night I saw him again. He was standing on my window, scraping his knife against the glass. Terrified, I hid under the blanket, trembling, and eventually fell asleep. That night, I had terrible dreams. It felt like the gnome was chasing me around our yard, waving his knife and laughing. I woke up drenched in sweat. The next morning, I met Dima and Katya, and we decided to end this nightmare. We dug a hole in the forest to trap the gnome and filled it with candy. I called out to him, yelling, "I'm gonna eat all your candy." And it worked. The gnome appeared behind me and charged at me with his knife. I ran, leading him to the hole. Jumping over it, I heard him fall in. We jumped out of our hiding spots, and Dima hit him over the head with a stick. We started chanting the banishment spell. "Cursing gnome, leave!" At first, nothing happened. The gnome cursed and yelled at us, but then he noticed the candy. He lunged at it, and as he ate the last piece, his body began to disappear. Just before he vanished completely, he shouted, "I'll be back!" At that moment, we heard a faint voice. It was Sem. The gnome had tied him up, stuffed his mouth with a sock, and hidden him in the hole under some branches. We freed him and ran home. We told our parents that Sem had gotten lost in the forest and we found him in the morning. He got grounded for going out late, but that was better than being a victim of the gnome. And since then, I've avoided the forest. And Dima and Katya admitted they had strange dreams for weeks. The gnome was gone, but we still feel like he could return. That's the end of my stories. Friends, if you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and let me know what you think of this story. I promise even more exciting ones are coming your way.